Hello and welcome to Azur Lane Meta. If after this video you want to help support the channel, please check out my affiliate store at kit.co/AzurLaneMeta. Welcome back, guys. Today we are going to be talking about all of the new Russian event ships. I'm going to be going over the first look into all their stats and all of their skills. I'll also be going over the rest of the update. Check the timestamps if you want to jump around to this section that you are most interested in. So with all these spoilers, you'd think that we get Soya's in this event, but she won't be in this video or in this event. Before we get into the rest of the ships, we're going to talk a little bit about some changes coming from the patch notes. Of course, we have a ton of new skins. This new theme is about pajamas, so there are a lot of new pajama Russian ships right now. We get a lucky box. We have 3 vouchers for Sovetskaya Belorussiya and Chappie skin. This event is filled with redesigns, as you can see in the PV. We have the Kirov is redesigned twice, actually. We have a lantern game that's going on. It should have quizzes, and pretty shortly after the server is up, we should have a full list for how to complete that. Although that shouldn't be too bad, but if you're interested and want a guide for that, that'll just be a list probably on the Discord server once we crowdsource that. We get new UI updates, which is kind of funny because 2 of those things are on videos that I've made very recently. So rip those, maybe. I'm not exactly sure what updates we're getting today, but I'm sure there'll be something related to the videos that I just made on these topics. We get no ships that are rerun from the first Russian event. Some people were hoping that we'd get a rerun of Pamiat or of some of the older ships from the first time around, but we don't. And with that, I think that's my cue to get into the ships. We're going to start with the Retrofit first, since before we get any new ships, we're going to go with the old one. We're going to be nice to our elders here with our Russian granny meme ship, Pamiat. First time around, she was actually pretty decent skill. She has a main gun +1, and basically what's holding her back from being poor is she has atrocious stats. I mean, these are like below rare stats for the most part. For this cruiser, she's an elite. She's going to be going up to SR when she gets this retrofit, and so far she's exclusive. So hopefully you didn't retire her. If you did, I guess, I don't know. We'll see how good the retrofit is. Okay, so the first thing we're looking at here is a 5% increase to main gun efficiency, a 5% increase to the secondaries, and then we have a 10% increase to the AA gun. Her AA is terrible, so that doesn't really make too much difference. We get some extra HP. She was already actually more tanky than I would have expected for her CL. Her stats are really terrible in the AA department. Her firepower +44 is actually a good chunk there. Her AA goes up +49. We get +9 accuracy, which is actually pretty helpful. She now can equip Destroyer Gun, apparently, so that's kind of interesting. I'm not sure exactly if that would be best in slot, but it is interesting. And then we get a new skill here, and it's going to be anti-air and accuracy go up by 15%. So once again, we're going gung-ho in this accuracy, or in the AA department. The accuracy is actually a nice boost too. 70% chance to proc a barrage every 15 seconds. Enemies hit by the barrage have a 20% reduced speed for 5 seconds. Here's the barrage. It has torpedoes in it. This is actually a very powerful barrage in terms of damage. We also have a slowing ability, which is, I don't know. That's actually pretty good. Remember that Pamiat has a main gun +1 already, and now we're getting a bunch of firepower stats. We get more main gun efficiencies, we get more accuracy, and now we have a torpedo barrage. So actually, in terms of damage output, this retrofit puts a lot of things that Pamiat really needed. She has literally been the mascot of all the streams with her 3D avatar, and it's kind of funny that she finally got the retrofit. She's been a fan favorite for a little bit, and this retrofit is actually really good. Like, she's going up to SR, she's going to get good stats. She's already got a good skill. I mean, like, if you guys don't remember, she increases damage to battleships and heavy cruisers by 20%. So in heavy cruiser meta, that's really good. When she takes damage, there's a 15% chance to evade all enemy attacks for the next 10 seconds. So this is basically like a nerfed Eldridge skill. But Eldridge is a really good skill, especially in PvP. So yeah, I mean, she is a light cruiser, but she actually kind of is very strong. Yeah, I mean, she's still not that bulky, but I mean, if you proc right, it's still like fine. Her anti-air, although it went up a little bit, is still pretty atrocious. What was the base? The base was 146, and then we add on 49, so it's still pretty atrocious. And her anti-air efficiencies are what, 90% after the retrofit? But yeah, we're looking at like a 125% cruiser gun efficiency, on a main gun +1, on well over 100 firepower. So, you know, this is starting to look in decent territory for where those firepower destroyers look. Yeah, actually, she's going to be pretty good right off the bat. So I'm expecting some good ships for the rest of the Russian event when we get a very good retrofit for Pamiat here. I also thought that heart in the barrage was kind of funny, if you noticed it on the first time around. And I'm feeling really smart because I did not retire my Pamiat on a hunch that she might get a good retrofit. I was like, this ship's not very good right now, but I was like, I'm going to keep her. And I think today it paid off for me. Hopefully you guys saved her as well. All right, moving on. We're going to go with Belorussiya. She's the banner, so she's the big battleship. We'll see how good she is, but I'm pretty much obligated to get her because of her name for, you know, some of my childhood inside jokes. But let's take a look here. We got heavy armor, 8.2k health, fire. Okay, so in terms of stats, we're looking at basically another Sovetskaya Belorussiya, very similar. Her accuracy is much higher, which I'm expecting she's not going to get an accuracy skill like Russia, so it's probably going to equate to being pretty much the same at the end. Maybe she gets a firepower boost because Russia has one and their firepower is about the same. Her anti-air is less, although I do see a higher anti-air efficiency, so I don't, right off the bat, looking at this here, don't know which one's actually better. I feel like Russia has a lot more anti-air than this, but anyway, for the most part, this is a Russia class battleship, and we see that for the efficiencies for main gun and DD gun. Oh, she can equip a cruiser gun. Oh yeah, that's normal. So first skill, we have a 75% chance to fire a barrage, which is shown here. This does target, it looks like, which is very powerful. That's HE. We get a freezing ability, which or like a slowing ability on that ice. So this actually barrage is really strong. Being targeting means that it can be an off-center one. So she does work with Russia very well because Russia's kind of got to be in the flagship to be ideal, at least for where her barrage lands. So this kind of pairs nicely with her. That's great. 75% chance is not too bad, especially for a powerful barrage like this. And this is the first time that we've actually seen a skill that procs on non-proc. So on the 25% chance that it doesn't proc, you actually get a skill, which is interesting. And I actually really like this. I think like having a chance to be one or the other kind of gives you some RNG still, but it's not completely terrible. We get 50% AA, which is actually quite a bit. Her AA is bad, and maybe this is why her AA stats were much lower. And it only goes until the next firing. So I don't know. I mean, this is actually something you still really want to proc the barrage almost always, but it is kind of like a little bit of a failsafe. I liked it. I like the skill. I like the barrage. So far, so good. Next skill. While HP is 60% or above, self firepower 20%. Okay, so that's basically what Russia has when you like set her up with a full Chinese fleet. And ignite debuff duration is by -3 seconds. So so she burns less. Okay, so that's actually kind of nice. A lot of people are moving to AP anyway these days, but we'll take no burning because, you know, everyone still has like AP or HE in the front line usually or something like that. So not bad. When HP falls under 50%, you get a self-heal for, it looks like 9% over 8 seconds. That's pretty good. And it triggers twice per battle. That's something that's new. So in theory, you can go from 49% back up to 58%. And then when you hit 49% again, you go back up to 58%. So that's like a potential 18% heal. This means that if you're playing against her in PvP, you need to really get her down quickly so that her heal doesn't actually proc the second heal. So that means you got to do more than 9% in a chunk, basically. Get her from like 51% to 40% or something like that. So that way it doesn't proc and heal itself back up. That's actually really cool. And anyway, for the first 3 battles, which, you know, applies to the PvP battles always, the Vanguard ship takes reduced damage by 8%. That's actually very nice. I like that too. There's no downside to that. So we have a very solid ship here. This is our above average barrage battleship of every event, basically. I see this being, yeah, pretty good. I think this ship is better than Russia, which we kind of predicted was going to happen just because of power creep. But yeah, I like this ship a lot. I think she's kind of a must. She's a must get, obviously, if you're a Russian player. She completes your Russian backline because there's only literally like 3. But actually, she's a very solid option, unlike Gangud. All right, moving on. Next, we have Kirov. And yeah, she's going to be the meme ship of the day.
Kirov reporting.
She's a light cruiser, and she's a rate up just like Belorussiya, so she's 2% pull in the gacha. Light cruisers are always hard to just put into a box because they're all over the place, but she's a light armor light cruiser, and her health pool is 4,000, which is, a lot of light cruisers sit in that 3,500 range, but we also have some that are as high as 5,000 above, so 4,000 is, not anything to write home about. We have a good mix of firepower and torpedoes here. Stats are kind of just like a mid-level like cruiser. She reminds me just kind of like a little bit of Belfast. She's like a little bit better in the firepower, health, and anti-air department, a little bit weaker in that torpedo department. Yeah, Belfast torpedoes are going to be better. But yeah, so middle of the road stat-wise like cruiser. She actually has decent AA, especially with that 110 anti-air efficiency. All right, let's go look at the skills. First one off is the meme.
Kirov reporting.
Yeah, Kirov reporting is the name, and every 15 seconds, there's 100% chance at a special barrage. I always love guaranteed barrages. This barrage looks really good. There's an airstrike in this barrage. Oh my gosh, Kirov reporting. Let's go. All right, there's an airstrike in this barrage. First time this barrage triggers, it ignites the enemies, sets them on fire, and causes them to take 15% more damage on top of that burn for 8 seconds. If you looked at this barrage here, those bombs do a lot of damage. This is a great barrage. It's guaranteed the first time it comes out, which, in PvP is really important. I really like this barrage. It's a good meme barrage. Developers were very good at making sure that their meme barrage was good.
Kirov reporting.
All right, moving on to second one. The self-main gun target acquire and firing range increased to 75. That is a buff, so she's going to have longer range, so that's cool. Maybe that's part of the biplane. Self-damage dealt to light armor is increased by 20%, so it's not a particular class, but just a light armor designation. It actually only would affect a mirror match, because she's light armor herself. But yeah, that's actually really good damage. If there are Northern Parliament ships in the fleet, Northern Parliament deals 12% damage to other light cruisers, so she really is like set on destroying the opponent's Kirov. It is kind of nice to get a faction buff. This would actually go, she reminds me a lot of Chapyev, and she'd actually go perfect with Chapyev to just completely and utterly destroy destroyers. And yeah, this ship is actually pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this is probably another ship that I'm interested in getting. That barrage is really nice. And then of course we have this third skill, which is just her, shots here, but I believe that ice might actually freeze in terms of like doing a slow effect, and if that is the case, that is absolutely nuts. I'll be able to hopefully acquire her in the next 24 hours, and I can test that out myself, but I'm really hyped for this. Unfortunately, she doesn't have a main gun +1 like Pamiat's still, like, so far right now I'm looking at Belorussiya's probably tier 1, Kirov's probably tier 1, Pamiat is tier 1, so we're looking at 3 tier 1 ships here. I mean, Kirov might be closer to tier 2, but she's very close on the border there. Yeah, these ships are actually really strong. We got a little bit of a Russian bias, so I would definitely pick these up, spend your cubes. But we got more ships to deal with. We got one more SR left, which is going to be the event shop one, and we got 3 new elites, which I don't expect too much from, but I am interested in what they have. Maybe we'll have a surprise like Nuremberg or even Casablanca. Those were low rarity surprises in the past. Next up, we have Tallinn. We have a nice historical ship here. I know everyone's been talking about her in being the German-built ship that was transferred to the Russian Navy. I think the way they designed her is fantastic with a great mix of the two. I hope that skill-wise, they designed her great for those two. We see marks of her class, the Hipper class. She's a Hipper class with the red streak, similar to the KMS faction. We also see, like, in her skin, we see the beer instead of vodka in her storage. So we actually see some remnants in her artistic design. We'll see if any of her skills design will be the same. In terms of her stats, actually, I don't know, it feels really weird. She's, kind of like a Prince, but Prince is much more bulky than her, so she's a less bulky Prince. Of course, her damage is, at least by the stats alone, is going to be higher, and I imagine she's going to have damage skills, unlike Prince, so I imagine she's going to be a less bulky, higher damage Prince, but Prince Heinrich was kind of like a less bulky, more higher DPS focused Prince, And from what I'm looking at least stat-wise, Heinrich is certainly well above where Tallinn is. So she's got to have some good skills to make up for the difference, but we'll see what they are. Every 18 seconds, I already don't like that timer. Create a shield in front of the ship that can block up to 8 bullets. That's not that many, and it only lasts for 8 seconds. If the shield breaks, okay, that's usually good. These are starting to be things they add to shields, like breaking the shields. Fire a special barrage. Let's take a look at that. Okay, those are looking like they are freezing. Okay, so that's a slowing ability, probably. Okay, that's whatever. That's and it gains 5% shield on self for 4 seconds. So you get a HP shield that's worth 5% of her health. Okay, I mean, it's a shield. It's better than Prince Eugen's shield. Certainly a better version of that, but Prince Eugen's shield was not the meta standard at the moment. All right, and moving on to the second skill. When equipped with a Northern Parliament or Iron Blood heavy cruiser gun, there we go. There's that cross-faction orientation to both of her factions. Self-damage increase by 12%. Okay, just a straight damage increase. We like that, though. When equipped with an AP gun, so we want an AP gun from Northern Parliament or Iron Blood faction, we get a shell increase by 10%. All right, that's not a huge buff, but I guess it's the thing you want, so you're probably going to equip her with AP guns. Upon killing 2 enemies, okay, that's pretty easy in a mob fleet, not so much in other cases. Increase her own firepower and anti-air by 8% until the end of battle. It can only stack once, though. So it's literally like you just kill the first 2 mob things and then she's got it for the rest of the battle. I don't know. She seems like a weird mix of like a tanky trying to be a mob fleeter. I don't know. This ship is, they can't all be great. This one's probably tier 2. It's mob fleet. It's got tankiness. If you're new and you need a heavy cruiser, she's actually not bad. I like her game design. I even like the way they did her skills in terms of like mixing in that Iron Blood element. She is obtainable in the shop, so you can get her for 8k points. You can still pull her at 0.5% in the gacha to save you some of those event points. I believe she's also droppable probably from D3. That's usually the case. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna pick her up for purposes of collection as well as I think she's cool designed, but in terms of meta, she's not really a meta ship. All right, moving on, we have an elite destroyer. I'm not expecting much from an elite destroyer, I'm gonna be honest, but let's take a look. In terms of stats, okay, so she looks like a firepower destroyer. She looks kind of like a slightly weaker version of Tashkent in terms of her efficiencies and her firepower, but Tashkent's a really powerful ship, probably the 3rd best firepower destroyer in the game, and so this being worse than her is not necessarily like a bad thing. She could still be very usable. We'll see what the skills bring. Okay, for the first 30 seconds of battle, she gets a self speed buff by 5, which is actually not too bad. I'll take speed buff, especially for a destroyer running around. Her base speed's 45, so that's 50. That's like pretty good. And 30% firepower. All right, that puts her firepower closer in range with Tashkent in there, so that's actually really good. After 30 seconds, she gets a 15% evasion stat buff. That's, I'll take it, but let's be realistic. We want that first 30 seconds skill buff here. That's just a consolation prize for when it turns off. Then we get this barrage. Every 20 seconds, 25% chance to fire a torp barrage and evade all enemy attacks for 3 seconds. Oh my gosh, that's insane. And the barrage here is actually really powerful. It's a torpedo barrage. That's something we really like. Her torpedo stat's not atrocious either, so this barrage I really like. Unfortunately, it only procs at 25% chance. If that could proc like all the time, and it could proc maybe in the 15-second mark, and then we're talking business here. And then she's got this other barrage on, every time that she fires, what is it, 10? Okay, yeah, 10. Yeah, this ship was actually surprising. It's better than I expected. Honestly, no main gun +1 though, so that's a little bit of an issue. So she's not going to be a Tashkent, but her barrage is really fun, I feel like. And if you pull her and you're new, you can definitely use her. I'd still use Tashkent if you have her over her, but she looks fun. We'll get to her sister in a second, but first we have USS Milwaukee. I'm sorry, we have SN Murmansk. Yeah, this is looking like the event of transplant ships here, ships that were in other navies and then sold to the Russians. This one, I believe, spent most of her career in the U.S. faction, in the U.S. Navy, but she did get transferred for like a good 5 years during World War II to the Soviets. So that's kind of interesting. We'll see if there's any note of that. I do think that by cuteness factor of all these event ships, she wins, but we'll see. I'm not expecting much from her to be honest, but we'll see. Yeah, okay, if we just compare her to Kirov, her stats across the board are just completely worse. Efficiencies indicate that she might be an AA boat, but her AA stat does not indicate that. First skill, we have, for the first 45 seconds of battle, she increases her own torpedoes and firepower by 12%. Okay, I mean, her stats are atrocious anyway. That's not gonna make a big difference. When equipped with an HE gun, deal 10% more damage to battleships. You're not really wanting to use HE against battleships anyway, so now we're just basically locking ourselves into an HE gun against a very specific and niche class. She probably won't even survive to fight battleship backlines because of her being weak. All right, so that skill's a bust. Next up, we have a barrage. Take 15% less damage from AP shells. Okay, why? I mean, she's literally light armor. AP shells are not a problem. All right, whatever. Every 20 seconds, we have a 60% chance to fire this barrage. This barrage looks weak. I mean, dang, it's plain, it's weak, and it doesn't even guarantee. It's at the 20-second marker, which is slow. It's 60% chance, and then of course we have the on fire one. That one's not even that good either. Wow, this ship is trash. I'm sorry. Tier 3. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, really cute, but collection only, definitely. All right, let's move to Gromky. We're gonna have Gremy's sister here. Stat-wise, we are basically looking at a more survivable version. She has less DPS capabilities stat-wise, and a little bit more ability to survive with health and evasion, so we'll see if her skills play into that. At the start of the battle, if there are other ships in the vanguard, okay, well, that's not really hard to proc. Just can't be using her for a 1-1 mob fleet, I guess. Self crit rate goes up by 20%. These are just, I'll tell you, whatever. That's not too much. It's not really gonna be a DPS version ship at all, so that crit rate is kind of like, okay, I wish that could have gone somewhere else, but all right, whatever. When another vanguard ship falls under 20% health, oh, is she gonna get a heal? Consume 5% of her own health. Wait, so she loses 5% when someone else drops below 20? All right, I'll read this and see where this is going. Then heals the ship that 10% of their health, okay, and then after 5 seconds, and then she heals herself back 8%. So I guess she technically nets 3 out of it, and it can only trigger once per battle. Okay, so she heals someone else 10%, and then she nets a 3% heal, but she immediately loses 5%, potentially killing her, and then will slowly heal back her 8%. This is an interesting way to have a heal, a fleet heal. I don't know. Not a huge fan. I guess if on a better stat ship, it might be decent, but I'm not digging it. Take 10% less shell and torpedo damage from destroyers. Well, let's be honest, destroyers aren't really the problem in the meta right now in terms of damage dealers. So again, this feels like that less AP damage taken. Okay, sure. Every 20 seconds, increase self-speed by 5 and firepower by 20% for 10 seconds. So basically similar to her sister. Actually, her sister was 30%. And also it's every 20 seconds, so it doesn't start at the beginning of the battle. Okay, so her sister is just straight better. Gromky is definitely the worst one. I believe this is also the event one, the one that you get for accumulation rewards. So I guess that makes sense that she's a little bit weaker than the gacha one. And we have not been having any rare ships lately, so that's it. That's the 6 ships that we got from the event, as well as Pamiat we reviewed at the beginning. Overall, very powerful event. I think our banner ones that we are going for is, well, first of all, Pamiat's probably the biggest winner of the day. If you have Pamiat, retrofit her, use her. She's probably moving up to tier 1 as a new SR, so that's pretty funny and memey. Feeling pretty good that I kept mine on the hunch that she might get better in the future. I retire a lot of ships I don't think are good, and a lot of times the retrofits come and bite me in the butt, but not today. Feeling smart today. In terms of the new ships, well, it's pretty obvious that our barrage battleship banner is very powerful, and if you want to potentially use any Soviet Navy in the future, you pretty much need to pick her up. She's probably the best Russian battleship. I think she's better than Russia. Very powerful, and if you're new, definitely need to pick her up. You need to get one of those barrage battleships quick, early, and level them up, and I'm probably going to pick her up because I think she's going to be pretty decent as well. Kirov is really fun. I think she's a must-get ship from this with that Kirov reporting airstrike barrage. That looks really nice. And then, yeah, the other ships, Tallinn and Gremy, are like usable. They're very usable ships. So, and then you have Gromky and Murmansk. Those are pretty much collectible only. Get them for that fleet tech or something like that. But yeah, those are pretty trash ships. All right, so we're gonna finish it off with just the equipments here. This is a rerun event. I didn't see any new equipment. So when we look at the shop, we get Tashkent's gun back, the twin 130mm shop. buy it. It's cheap. It's something you're going to need for your destroyers. It's typically not considered as good as the baguette gun, but it's extremely powerful, especially if you have Tashkent and you didn't have this gun. It is best in slot for her because she gets a boost to it, and it's still a very strong destroyer gun. It's not a baguette gun, but definitely I would pick one up. Never hurts to have more than one. The Chappie gun, this gun is a very good HE like cruiser gun. Yeah, I use this all the time. It's usually considered tied for best in slot. We can farm this in D3. Yeah, so farm that in D3. And should be farmable in B3 too if you're down there. The D3 requirements shouldn't be too hard. We have firepower requirement, which is really easy to make, and then we have a high AA 2450 AA requirement, which might need you to bring in an AA dedicated ship, but for the most part, hard mode requirements should be extremely easy to pass this time around. And that Chappie gun is pretty good, so I'm probably going to be farming that, spending some oil on that. No like really new great things, but the last Russian event, these two guns were amazing. They still are really good. So if you haven't gotten them, get them. And if you already have them, get another copy. It doesn't hurt to get another copy. So that's the event for you guys today. Hopefully that helps you traverse the waters as you pull your gotchas today and see which ships are good when you're looking at them. Until next time, please subscribe to the channel if you like this sort of content coming out on day of release events. And if you want any other guides for Azur Lane, my channel is full of them. So definitely subscribe. And then also I have a Discord server if you need specialized help. We have a bunch of experts there that might be able to help you guys with more account specific questions.